All right, guys, we've got our San Francisco 49ers preview here. Our in-depth one. We're going to go right on through the team. Again, we don't need to do too many intros here. We'll be doing the coaching staff, the roster, the schedule, some bets we have in the future for the futures market. And so let's jump right on into it. San Francisco 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan. I like Kyle Shanahan. He does a lot of good things with the offense. The system's really good. The play calling, for the most part, is really good. He does some bad things, like his fourth down aggression's really bad, just like as a whole. I wish he was slightly more aggressive. If he were slightly more aggressive, he'd probably have a Super Bowl by now. And some other things of that nature. But again, a top 10 coach, borderline top 5 for the most part. And again, if he just cleans up some of the fourth down stuff, just the aggression stuff, and gets more with the times, it would really, really help. Defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh comes in. Obviously used to be coach of the Jets, and that didn't work out as he planned, and he's coming back to San Francisco, and this is a good hire. A really good defensive mind. You saw the fall off with the Jets defense when he left. Some of that may have been an effort thing, but for the most part, he's a very, very good coach, and expect him to kind of coach this defense up. It's probably not going to be as good as his other defenses were. The personnel is probably not there comparatively, but again, you expect Robert Saleh probably to coach this defense up, and is a pretty big upgrade over what was there last year. So a good hire there. So we like the coaching staff. Obviously, Kubiak's there as the OC, but it's mostly Kyle Shanahan's stuff, and he helps out, and he's been there for a long time. So it all works. Into the roster. Quarterback, Brock Purdy is here. Mac Jones is the backup. We can talk about Mac Jones a little bit. Brock Purdy's got some injury issues here and there. Maybe Mac Jones might get some play time this year. Again, Mac Jones is fine as a backup. He can probably come in and win a game or two with this roster, with this schedule. I wouldn't put it beyond him in this scenario to, like, if he played the last 6 games of the year, considering what the teams are. We're talking Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Chicago, and Seattle. I don't doubt for one second that Mac Jones couldn't win 4 of those games here in the system. So Mac Jones is a decent backup, and all those pre-draft rumors and all that fun stuff kind of comes to fruition in a weird way here. Brock Purdy. I'm on the lower end with Brock Purdy. I know a lot of people have Brock Purdy very high. I know there are some people who have Brock Purdy very low. He is my 15th ranked quarterback. He is solid. He does enough. He can do plenty in this system. He's shown it before. Brock Purdy's taken his step down with the personnel step down was a bit of a worry, not because that's not going to happen to every quarterback, but the fall off was in terms of just efficiency, success rate, and all that stuff was a little bit more aggressive than normally happens when quarterbacks lose players in there. But again, he's still a solid enough quarterback. What keeps him outside the top 10, 12 for me is just a couple of the underlying things that aren't so good. His his on-target percentage outside the top 10, bad throw percentage outside the top 10. He does that thing a lot where he tries to fit the ball in between the linebackers deep down the field, in between the linebackers and the safety, and that particular ball he throws there always ends up right on the verge of getting picked off. And he had that for a while too, where he just was having the turnover luck, which is always great. But again, I don't see Purdy as a top 10 guy, and I think that's all right. I don't see him as a bottom 10 guy, somewhere in the middle. Then we have him there at 15. And again, and if he cleans some of that stuff up, which he definitely can, we'll see. He has the tools for the most part. Arm strength maybe slightly down, but again, this was a quarterback at Iowa State that early on in his career, a lot of people really liked him. It's like, when's Purdy coming out? And stuff like that. And he stayed a little bit longer, and he ended up going deep in the draft and all that fun stuff. But again, so the tools are there, and there's no reason why he can't get better, and he probably deserves his contract and all that stuff. He's done so well. I mean, genuinely, just as a story on its own, he's done incredibly well to go from 7th round, last in the draft type stuff, to a genuine quarterback contract in this day and age when those contracts are crazy and the cap keeps going up, and he's making some serious money. So it's genuinely good for him. But again, just for me, I'm not so sure his play style translates to a bunch of other offenses that aren't slightly helpful for him. And I can say that a bunch of quarterbacks. I can say that about every quarterback outside the top 10 for me. So, again, stuck in that middle tier, and that's just where we're going to have him. Running back, Christian McCaffrey, coming off that injury, obviously. He's very, very good when he's healthy, and he had a year or two where he was healthy in San Fran, but outside of that, he's been missing games most of his career. And again, he's very, very good, and you like all that, but the injury stuff is a bit of a worry. We'll talk about the offensive line in a bit, but you get some backup injuries now with Guerendo, who's hurt himself. The timeline on that up in the air a little bit, and you got Jordan James in behind, a rookie 5th-round pick. It's not a super deep room for someone who probably needs, I want to say help, not necessarily help, but, rotation. You can't be taking 80% of snaps all the time and stuff like that, and it's a bit of a worry with the way the room is set up. So, again, McCaffrey, really, really, really good running back still. You would think. Again, he didn't play last year. Year before, he was very good. But, again, Guerendo, the backup, was solid. Hurt at the moment. Jordan James, rookie, 5th-round pick. It's not super deep. So, it's a bit of a worry for a room that's constantly injured, but again, talented when they're on the field. Wide receiver, and pretty interesting group here. You got Brandon Ayuk, who's hurt, and it should be out till October-ish, it seems like. Probably going to miss the first 4, 5, 6, 7 games, which is a decent amount, but he's talented when he's healthy. Just missed a ton of time last year, wasn't super healthy, and playing through some stuff early as well. So some of his, I've kind of thrown most of his last year out, but he's very, very solid. Juwan Jennings, another one who's pretty solid, going through that contract dispute and his injury and a variety of different things going on, which seems to happen in this wide receiver room every single year without fail. Then you get Ricky Pearsall, who showed some really nice flashes last year, earlier draft pick. There's certainly talent there and should get a pretty good run this year now that Ayuk is a bit of he's injured, and Jennings is dealing with a little bit of something. So Pearsall should get a pretty good run this year, and we'll see how good he really is, especially the first 5-6 weeks. You should be getting a ton of snaps and a ton of routes run. Again, showed flashes, had that freak thing last year where he dealt with his gunshot wound, but came back really quickly and, worked his way in, and again, showed flashes. So I'm very excited for Pearsall. Demarcus Robinson's here, who's okay. The rest is, you get Russell Gage in there, who's had an NFL career, but nothing crazy. Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing, some younger players and things like that. So again, fully healthy, 2 months into the season, everybody's on the field. This is a pretty good room. Until then, not a great room. There's some upside there, but nothing crazy. Tight end. This is the number 2 tight end room for me. George Kittle, obviously excellent. You can argue with top 4. All the top 4 tight end rooms I have are separated by 2 percentage points. With Kittle, we have second, and then we had McBride first, and then we have the Ravens room and Brock Bowers. It's all very, very tight. They're all very, very good. You can put George Kittle at 1 if you want. I'm not going to argue with you. He's a very, very good tight end, can catch, an aggressive blocker, just a really, really good player all around. He deals with his injuries as well, so hopefully he can stay healthy, but again, very, very talented. Luke Farrell, Jake Tonges, okay, 2 and 3s, and that's kind of all you're looking for. Offensive line is an interesting group, about middle of the pack, about halfway, about average. 14th in pass block win rate last year, 24th in run block win rate. Isn't particularly great. It screams about average, obviously, but Trent Williams didn't play a ton of that. He missed some time last year with injuries as well, and hopefully he's healthy and ready to go. He is 37 and continues to defy age, and at some stage you expect that to kind of catch up, and again off an injury. And I'm going to say this word, and I don't want you to panic just yet. He declined a little bit last year. First time ever he wasn't in the top 2 in tackles grades on PFF. He was like 3rd or 4th, but he's still very, very good when he's fully healthy, and hopefully he's fully healthy, and that decline just keeps on being pushed back until he retires is probably the hope here. But again, very, very talented. Ben Bartch comes in at left guard. He was okay. Limited snaps, so we'll see if he can just turn constant snaps into better. Like if he were to grade out as well as he did last year in the limited sample he had, he's going to have a really good year. So we'll see with Bartch there. Brendel's really good, solid, 13th for interior offensive lineman and pass block win rate, so a very, very good pass blocker at center. Pooney had a bit of a breakout last year. We're hoping that he can keep that up and be solid. McKivitz, okay. So there's talent here. There's upside here for sure. If Pooney can keep going, if Ben Bartch can come in and be solid and Trent Williams can be healthy, you're looking at a pretty decent group. And the only real negative, even then, would be at right tackle. So if you're getting solid play at right tackle, you're getting continued growth at right guard, you're getting solid play at left guard, and Trent Williams is healthy, we're looking at a top end, top 10, 11, 12 offensive line here. So there's definitely room to grow. There's also room for it to just kind of static around midway, about average. So it's an interesting offense. Again, I think fully healthy, the problem, fully healthy is very good. The problem with San Francisco every year is that they don't stay healthy, and it's even started with Guerendo and Jennings and all that fun stuff. So again, fully healthy, very good. We'll see if they can stay healthy. That's how it goes. Defensive line, defensive side, again, we have Robert Saleh coming in here, so you're hoping they can coach this up. There are some solid pieces here on this defensive line as a whole, or pieces on this defense as a whole. Kind of worried that this is kind of just an average group, slightly below average group. But again, there's talent, and if you can get some like jumps from other players, maybe we're looking at above average defense. But for now, slightly below average. Defensive line has a bunch of okay, and Nick Bosa is really good. Nick Bosa is great. Nick Bosa probably needs to be a better finisher, but other than that, everything screams elite, and he's been doing it for a long time. He just can't turn those pressures into sacks, it seems. But he's definitely getting the pressures, and he's getting back there all the time, and he's probably a top 7 or 8 pass rusher. But if he can turn just another 2%, 3% of those pressures into sacks, it looks so much better. But again, very, very good. Mikael Williams comes in. He's a rookie, first round. You're hoping he can step in and just play on the other side and give Nick Bosa a couple of extra snaps where he's not getting double teamed. Bryce Huff gets brought in. Interesting player. His metrics look pretty good and didn't quite hit the ground at Philadelphia. Didn't find anything necessarily at the Jets. Like, all that talent is there, but it just quite hasn't found his consistent footing. And if he can come in here and come off the bench and play some good snaps, this is a good spot for him for sure. You got Gross Matos is okay. The interior is not good. Givens is bad. Elliott's bad. CJ West, you got on there. Collins. It's not a good interior. It really is not a good interior, unfortunately. So they're going to have to be efficient when rushing the passer. They're going to have to get sacks at a pretty good rate to turn pressures into sacks, and then you're going to need a lot of help stopping the run if they're going to go right up the middle there from the linebacker group. And the linebacker group's good. You get Fred Warner in there. We'll talk about linebacker, top 10 group. Fred Warner is really, really good. Genuinely elite. An excellent linebacker. Not much more we can say about Fred Warner. As long as he's healthy, he is a top-end linebacker. D. Winters was pretty good last year. Another one with limited snaps, but showed well in those. Couple of other things. You get Bethune is in there. You get the rookie in there. Surratt gets bought in. It's probably going to be a bit of a fight for that second linebacker spot. But again, if you can get solid play there, you're looking at a really good unit because Fred Warner is obviously really incredible. So a potentially good unit, a potentially really good unit, and it's a top 10 unit as it is. So again, growth. We've said it quite a few times here. There is a ton of potential for just numbers to move up here on this team. Secondary, interesting one. Bit of a work in progress. Slightly below average here. Lenoir is solid enough. I'm not sure how I love him as like a number one. If Lenoir is your number two, it's probably really good. I'm not sure about him being the number one. Green last year started kind of slow. Again, rookie coming in at corner is difficult, but really played well toward the end of last season, so we're hoping that he can continue to make those steps. Trey Brown comes in. They're not that good. Stout, Fabian Moreau, some of these players are not great. So again, like you have a pretty good 2 here. You have a pretty good 3 here. And then it's just kind of depth issues. So it's a bit of a worry at corner. If Lenoir can just kind of step up and play lower end cornerback 1, which he can, and he almost pretty much has. You can play lower end cornerback 1 here, and Green can keep on growing, then it's an okay room, and you're looking at a room that's right around average, and it's probably the best you can hope for here. Safety solid. Hufanga leaves, but Brown, Mustafa, they're good players. This is a pretty good room, and the safety room kind of brings the secondary up just a little bit there. So again, very solid, and again, a little bit of room for growth. There's a whole lot of variance, I feel, with this football team. There's a lot of good. There's a pretty high floor, but whether they get past the floor or reach their ceiling stuff is a bit up in the air. Again, fully healthy, really good. Again, there's a lot of good players on this team. You got a good quarterback, got a really good running back. Offensive line is solid enough. Really good head coaching. Really good coaching overall. Wide receiver room is pretty solid. Tight end's really good. You got an elite pass rusher, an elite linebacker. And again, the floor is just really good. Whether they get to that ceiling, it's going to depend on injuries, number one. And number two, growth from a couple players here. You're looking at second linebacker. You're looking at Michael Williams to come in and be that second pass rusher. If he can come in and be really good from the get-go, you're looking at a pretty decent pass rush. If Lenoir can play solid, if Green can be solid in the secondary, all that stuff. I mean, again, we had him at 1.7 points above average, or above a 0, above average in the NFL. We're looking at a team that can get to 3.5, a team that can be the number 1 seed in the NFC, a team who could have home field all the way to the Super Bowl that's in San Francisco. So, again, there's a high ceiling here, a really high ceiling. It feels that way every year with the Niners. No different this year. Just got to stay healthy and just need a couple of things to happen. Nothing even genuinely crazy. Let's go through the schedule, and the schedule is what kind of puts it up here. They're going to be favorite in like every game except 1 or 2 where they're like 1.5 dogs. So it's genuinely crazy. It's a genuinely really easy schedule. We went through the last 6 before, and they were very easy. At Seattle is a tough start, and then at New Orleans. At Seattle are like changing things around. You got a new quarterback over there. You got a new offensive coordinator. Whole variety of different new things over at Seattle. At New Orleans, who are projected to be really bad. Arizona at home. Jacksonville at home. So 4 winnable games right off the bat. You'd hope at minimum to be 3-1 coming out of that. At the Rams, at Tampa Bay. Those are probably the 2 spots on the entire schedule where you're an underdog. Maybe at Houston, maybe. So right there, and then Atlanta at home, and then at Houston, as we talked about. So the 3 toughest games all come in a bit of a stretch there, 3 and 4, all on the road, with Atlanta in the middle, and then at the Giants, Rams at home, at Arizona. There's you got 5 away games and 7 here. And then this is where the schedule really gets easy. If we're looking at, we do our whole betting thing. If we're looking futures and stuff, we have some futures here, but if they're a game or 2 behind with this last 6, Carolina at home, at Cleveland with a bye, Tennessee, at Indianapolis, Chicago, Seattle. Yeah, that's a pretty good stretch. You're looking to win 5 of those at least, and 6 of them are very, very much winnable. So again, the schedule is really easy. As we said, you're going to be underdogs probably twice all season, assuming regular health here, at the Rams, at Tampa Bay. At Houston's a little bit more up in the air depending on how their season is starting off and shaking out. So again, it's the floor here is really high, and the ceiling is also really high, and we have 2 bets, 1 of each. We'll start with the floor here. 49ers to make the playoffs, minus 196. That is a $3.50 bet for us in our challenge. Again, the floor here is really good. Even, I'm comfortable thinking this team wins games. Again, if Purdy wasn't even playing those last 6, I'm pretty comfortable that Mac Jones wins at least 3 of them. Again, the rest of the roster is good. If it gets healthy, Brandon Ayuk's back. Purdy stayed healthy. McCaffrey stayed healthy. Fred Warner stayed healthy. Nick Bosa stayed healthy. I'm pretty confident that this team can get to 10 wins. 9 may get you in the playoffs. 10's probably certainly does. I think the floor is playoffs here. And then we have a bit of a ceiling play. McCaffrey to win Offensive Player of the Year. That is a plus 2,200 bet. That is a 70-cent bet as well. Just a small sprinkle. I think McCaffrey has a good year. Again, I think the offensive line is pretty solid, and I think the system gives him a ton of touches, and as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to be in a pretty good spot. We were looking to play some most touchdowns. I couldn't quite find that. Not most rushing touchdowns, just most touchdowns overall. I was looking for that. We bet that last year before he got hurt, but again, this is a ceiling play here. I don't want regular McCaffrey stuff. His touchdowns is over 7.5. I think he gets there pretty comfortably. The problem with McCaffrey is his health. And if we're going to bet on him being healthy, and we're going to take the ceiling aspects here because he is that good. So that's what we like. McCaffrey Offensive Player of the Year, plus 2,200. So there we are, the San Francisco 49ers.